we had a record quarter and we had a record March coming into this, so we were well placed for the rest of the year. But of course, COVID-19 happened and that had an immediate impact on the business. What we do is sell to sales and marketing teams who immediately, when lockdown happened, had to change their messaging, channel strategy, and there was a lot of scrambling around as people tried to figure out what they should be doing. What that meant for us was, of course, deals that suddenly looked like they were closing would get pushed out a bit. But actually, once the dust settled, what we found was what we offer and can offer companies is an ability to be more efficient in their advertising and target just the companies that they actually want to reach. But what was a surprise was some of our competitors were actually bad-mouthing us in the market, saying that we could no longer identify or target these companies because their employees were working from home. In reality, we could, and it actually backfired on them a bit because our biggest challenge really in the market is awareness. We're still a small startup, we don't have huge budgets to spend on marketing or advertising ourselves. And so what they ended up doing was increasing awareness further of our offering, and if anything, I think that led to more conversations rather than less. So we're a digital business. We're set up already to be virtual, if you like. Whilst we were not fully working remotely before, all our systems were set up in that way, so it was relatively straightforward for us to shift to a working from home environment. The really interesting thing though is that my day to day hasn't dramatically changed. Obviously I'm no longer meeting people face to face, and so the conversations are happening via Zoom instead, but I still begin the week by looking at what the priorities are and end the week by reflecting on how that week has gone and checking on things every day as we start the day. But obviously I'm now much more in front of a computer than I was before, and so I think that has a much bigger impact on your ability to stay focused and work. So I find as a result I end up having more breaks. That just gets me away from the screen for a little bit. So I'm an avid consumer of information. I'm always reading, I'm always trying to stay up to date, but actually in this period I completely shifted the way I get my information. So the primary piece of information that I'm trying to get hold of is really what's the sentiment in the market and what's broadly happening in the wider environment. And actually therefore I spent more of my time talking to customers, talking to prospects, talking to partners, to really get a feel for how the market is reacting, and then only really broadly trying to stay on top of the metrics and what's going on with COVID-19. There's obviously a huge amount of information that's being pushed online for people to consume in the news channels, but for the most part I find that a lot of it is just detail that isn't really impacting on day to day. I'm an optimist. I think there's huge amounts of pain that happens through recessions, but in the medium term, plenty of new companies will survive, plenty of new companies will be created, and so the likelihood is that there'll be more innovation, and there'll be potentially different companies that succeed than would have done earlier. We shall find out. I got nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year in the National Diversity Awards, and we got nominated for Account-Based Marketing Platform of the Year this year. But I think that's all the major news for now. Thank you very much.